understand there's people that are getting killed, but not that much. There's very little.
You say much as if the value of a human life can be quantified or have a value put on it.
I'm saying that?
Well, yeah, you said 106 people dying for preventable reasons. You know, for 106 people dying from a hate crime in the past 5 years, it's not much. Mm-hmm. You're saying that, like, one person's life is not worth that much.
Do you know how... Does it say how they were killed? Does it say how they were killed, like gunshot, stab?
Well, you know, any means that is violent.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, that sounds a little interesting. But you know how many people are killed every day that aren't transgender?
A lot.
Yeah, close to a couple thousand a day.
Yeah, but like...
Compared to 128 over 5 years.
But like, how many of those were based out of hatred or something they cannot control?
A lot.
Based on like complete strangers walking up to you and, well, yeah, black people are not talking about black people, we're talking about trans people. And trans black women have the highest suicide rate out of just about anyone ever.
And whose fault is that?
People not accepting them.
Themselves killing themselves?
And so you're saying that people who are suicidal choose it. You're saying all
that's
those
exactly
veterans...
what suicide is, to choose to kill yourself.
You're saying all those veterans that chose to kill themselves because of PTSD, that was all their fault.
Yes, for one, joining up, and two, killing themselves. They made the choice to end their life.
So
that's their fault.
Joining the army and fighting for your country is a bad thing, because you might get PTSD and shoot yourself.
When did I say that?
When you said it was their fault for joining the army.
Yeah, I know. That's just that certain number of people. It's not a guarantee if you're gonna have PTSD or not. It is your choice, though, to kill yourself. I'm all for the army. You don't understand. I'm grateful for the army. I love the army. I think it's awesome, and I think anybody who joins it is a good person.
Okay. So you're saying that you like veterans, right?
Yeah, they served our country and fought and almost died for our country.
So, if a veteran was suicidal because of PTSD, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you wouldn't want that to happen. You'd want to help him, right?
Sure, yeah.
Then why is that any different from transgender people? They're both people trying to commit suicide because there's awful things happening in their lives.
Not all transgenders kill themselves because they're not accepted.
They have one of the highest rates of suicide.
Not all of them.
Well, yeah, not all of them, because the other 106 get shot.
But the veterans that commit suicide because of PTSD, that is solely because of PTSD. And I'm not all of them. Some of them could have just like done other stuff, but whatever. But I don't. Transgender people make it sound a lot, and most people who identify as non-binary or whatever make it sound so much worse than it really is. They think they're discriminated against, which they are in some places, but they think everybody hates them, everybody does this, and I just want to end it right now, which is very not true.
Yeah, so do you know that 1/3 of the homeless teenagers in America are LGBT people that have been kicked out of their homes? Most of those, or a good majority of those, are transgender or non-binary people.
Let's see. I don't really know how they get that information, but
The same way you get any other information. You take a study group and a control group, and you take a group of homeless teenagers, and you ask them, how many of you guys were kicked out of your homes because you're gay? 1/3 says yes in this group in New York. The 1/3 of that other group says they were kicked out of their homes in Chicago. Another one in LA. Basically, they just do all of those until they get a pretty damn good estimate.
Well, I find that hard to believe because.
Okay, so you're sad about.
Let me.
You're sad about all those transgender people getting killed. Was correct, but
me,
that one all of a sudden
I'm not
isn't
saying
correct.
That this isn't happening. I'm saying that. From what you're saying, I wouldn't really understand why and how they would do that. I don't really get how they just like go find homeless people.
It means you just go down. Do you not see them?
Yeah, I do, but first of all, I don't even think a lot of them are transgender. I've never seen somebody under 18 homeless before. That's just me. That's just my circumstance. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen.
Yeah, so that's because you live in Buckhead.
Yeah, I know, and I've been to Midtown and downtown and the city plenty of times. Never seen it.
So you're saying that these people conducting the surveys, there must not be a single homeless teenager in America because you've never seen one.
Did you not hear me say that there probably are, and there definitely are? Did you not hear me say that?
Well, yeah. But by your logic, because you've never seen one, that study doesn't seem credible.
It just doesn't make sense because I don't really understand why not only homeless people would actually accept this, but just going downtown, that's kind of just weird and just creepy to just go down and ask people if they're kicked out of their house because they're LGBT.
I don't know how and why, but that's what the numbers say. But back to my point. If well, for whatever reason, you were transgender, and you come out to your parents and say, I know I was born this gender, but I have dysphoria, and that makes me think, it doesn't just make me think, it makes me this other gender. And your parents kick you out of your house, no food, no money, no phone, no wallet. I'd say you'd be pretty suicidal then.
Yeah, I agree.
So, you're agreeing that transgender people have a high rate of suicide?
I'm not saying that transgender people alone have a high rate of suicide.
Well, you have a phone right there. Look it up.
There's plenty of happy transgenders out there. So what do you want me to look up? How many?
Just look up, like,
LGBT?
Look up transgender suicide. I'm sure you'll find something.
Transgender suicide.
Oh my god. Sissy.
そthis is all CNN.
Okay.
Which is not something you want to be listening to.
I don't.
Good.
I don't listen to BuzzFeed either.
Good choice.
Where do you get your opinions? Instagram politics pages?
Not all of it, but some, yeah. Based on videos, so it's kind of hard to fake videos, but I only listen to things that I can actually see. But I'm reading something.
What does it say?
I'm trying to find something. It's just saying like trans people have this.
Have what?
Oh. I looked up transgender suicide rate and I'm just getting a bunch of nothing. So, what does that say? What does that say?
What do you mean, what does that say?
That there is really not that much on the transgender suicide rate.
There is. Look it up. Okay, look up.
I'm looking it up right now.
Okay. 4%
of the transgender people or people who identify as LGBT commit suicide.
And here, is that an acceptable percentage?
What do you mean?
Is it okay that 4% of an entire group of people commit suicide? That's 1 in every 25.
I'm not saying that that's a good thing.
What are you saying?
I'm just saying that only 4% of them.
Only.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
It's still a lot of people. I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's obviously bad, obviously, but still, you're claiming that like a lot over half of them commit suicide.
I never said that. I just said they have the highest like demographic or whatever.
Highest suicide rate is people of color, and
How do you know how many people how do you know how many of these people are not people of color or are people of color?
just had it right here.
Not every gay person is a little twinky, white, blonde hair, blue-eyed boy.
I know somebody who's not that and is gay.
You know one person?
I actually know more than one.
Congratulations. Does that make you an ally?
An ally to LGBT?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's bad. I just don't agree that there are more than two genders, and I don't agree with
I don't either.
Gender. So
You don't have to agree with it. You just have to accept the fact that some people are different, and some people have literal mental conditions called dysphoria. You don't say that a depressed person isn't depressed just because it's part of like their brain that they can't control.
I mean, they're still depressed.
Yeah. So a trans person
You
is still.
You can't call them depressed.
No, you can't. I'm saying theoretically, like you can't not call somebody with depression not depressed.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to say that, oh, you don't actually have depression, you're not actually sad, you just have this mental condition, right?
I mean, in most cases, yeah, there's some people who fake depression.
Well, yeah, that's a whole different story entirely. So why should it be different for transgender people?
It's talking about something that doesn't exist.
What doesn't exist?
Changing your gender. It's not possible.
Changing your sex is impossible, but changing your gender is.
How? There's only two genders.
You can flip-flop. You can flip from male to female.
So if I wanted to flip from male to female, I can do that right now.
Yeah, but you'd have to have dysphoria.
You don't have to have dysphoria.
You have to have dysphoria to be trans.
What do you mean? What's your definition of dysphoria?
I don't know an extensive amount of where it comes from or what exactly it does, but I do know that dysphoria is a mental condition in transgender people that basically means my outside doesn't match my inside, and that makes me...
Your physical appearance doesn't change your actual gender, you mean?
It means how I feel in my brain and inside doesn't match the body I was given. And therefore, I would really, really like to change that because being stuck in a body that doesn't agree with you causes depression, anxiety, anger, self-hatred, etc.
So, I forgot what I was gonna say. So, if somebody thinks to themselves that they're this, even though they're not, they can just get some surgery that just attaches a part to them, and then they're all of a sudden that, what they thought they were.
It's not what you think, it's what you are. They don't just think that they're the other gender, they are, because of their dysphoria.
But in reality, they're not.
What do you mean in reality?
According to everybody else who doesn't have dysphoria, and who actually is not mentally ill, they are not what they say they are.
Well, yeah, if you're a jackass, you don't respect someone's mental condition that they cannot change. Because
I'll look up dysphoria rate.
By not acknowledging a person's dysphoria, or not acknowledging that they are the opposite gender, you're worsening that mental illness and making it harder for them.
Well, here we go. You know how uncommon it is to have dysphoria even in the LGBTQ community or in the transgender community?
No.
From 0.005 to 0.014% of people in the transgender community.
Where do you get that from?
USA Today.
Oh, wait, let me look.
Let me try to find it.
Just look up the dysphoria rate and let me watch.
Dysphoria rate. Here we are.
Yeah. That's not just in the transgender community, that's like everyone.
I guess, yeah.
No, it doesn't look like a big percentage, but it's still a lot of people.
Here, so there's 7 billion people in the world,
Oh,
right?
I'm just saying, it doesn't, I'm always match up, because as you said, some people self-diagnose with things like depression, some people self-diagnose with dysphoria. Duh. Simple. All I'm saying is that it's a real thing, and that people suffer from it, and by you not understanding it, you're worsening that for them.
Okay.
Okay?
So, in 7.5 billion people in the world, around 37,000 of them have dysphoria.
Yeah. Checks out.
And you think that, so you think that if you think that you are something, you can be that something?
I don't see why not.
So I can be a dog and I'm a dog.
Sure. If you look like a dog and act like a dog, I'll treat you like a dog.
What human looks like a dog?
Well,
0 humans look like a dog.
I'm sure you can get some kind of surgery that gives you like a big doggy nose. Or you can wear a
Still
costume.
have 2 arms, 2 legs, and stand on 2 legs.
Yeah, have you ever heard of furries? They make those costumes look pretty realistic
Those
sometimes.
are costumes,
Well, yeah.
not your actual appearance.
Who says? Your appearance is what you wear.
Your appearance is what you look like.
Yeah. And you can look like a guy in a dog costume.
Okay, but that doesn't make you a dog. It makes you look like a dog, but that doesn't mean you are a dog.
All I'm saying, if you look like a dog and you act like a dog, I'll treat you like one.
I will too, but I'm not saying that I wouldn't necessarily accept that. It's not like I won't accept it into the community. I just disagree. And I just don't agree with that.
Well, you understand that dysphoria is a real thing, right?
Yeah, I understand that. It's for
So what are you not agreeing with?
the fact that people, even without dysphoria, are saying that they are something that they are not.
Well, yeah, that's people without dysphoria. That's a whole other different ballpark.
It's millions of people.
Okay? So those people with dysphoria, the real transgender people, science,
Transgender people.
yeah, the people with dysphoria who are trans.
It doesn't make them real transgender.
What would make them real?
Nothing will. You can't change gender no matter if you have dysphoria or not. You may think you will if you have dysphoria, but you're not.
You can't change your chromosomes, which is your sex. Correct?
And gender, yes.
Your chromosomes are just your sex.
Gender and sex are the same thing.
Modern psychologists have pretty much concluded that gender is more up here than it is down here.
Exactly. Psychologists, biologists who
Biologists
actually
agree too.
No, they don't.
Okay, well,
There are 2 genders. There's only 2 different chromosomes. How can there be 2 genders? Or more than 2 genders and 2 sexes? That doesn't make sense.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that people can flip-flop.
They can say they do.
Yeah?
But they aren't. They really aren't.
Harrison, bottom line. So, okay, wait. Would you say that if someone were able to change their chromosomes, they could change their sex and their gender?
Well, yeah, because that's your chromosomes, and chromosomes are what literally defines gender.
Alright,
But you can't change chromosomes.
so, theoretically, if you could, and you had dysphoria, and you were able to change your chromosomes as well as your outward appearance and everything, that would make you the opposite gender, correct?
Exactly, because that's physically changing your chromosomes.
So the only thing stopping us right now is that scientific block and changing our chromosomes. So you're saying that just because these people don't have the scientific ability to change their chromosomes, they should not be honored as what they believe themselves, as what they know themselves to be.
No, because they're saying something that they're not. So they're lying to the entire society saying that there's something that they're not.
They are, though. That's what their dysphoria is. A depressed person is still depressed. And a person with anxiety is still anxious. A person with dysphoria is still the gender that...
Is dysphoric.
Mm-hmm. It's still their gender, though.
It's the gender that they are, not the gender that they think.
Here's
Mom.
when you have dysphoria, like having depression, it doesn't make your dysphoria any less valid just because there's no scientific way to make it happen yet. Correct?
Say that again.
Just because, like, depression we don't know how to cure yet.
Yeah, we never will.
And we don't know how to change our chromosomes yet.
Yeah, we never. Actually, we may, but as of right now, no.
You can't change it. But we still call depressed people depressed.
Yeah, because you don't just change your state. You don't just change your depression, like, instantly from being depressed to not being depressed.
Yeah.
Whereas some people say, instantly, I'm now this, or I was this, now I'm this.
People with dysphoria were born with this thing inside of them called dysphoria. And that thing is screaming, you are not a boy, you're a girl. Or you're not a girl, you're a boy.
How long has dysphoria been a thing?
Well, it's only been recently discovered, and it's only recently being publicized. So
Why? Because people are finally saying, I'm this, even though I'm not. And that's
because we are finally understanding the brain in ways we've never known. Transgender people have been around for hundreds of years.
Again, people who say they are.
Yeah.
But
They had dysphoria, probably.
Dysphoria, I thought you just said was recently discovered.
That doesn't mean it didn't exist.
So, I could have, like, say depression back then, and people didn't know what depression was, and then I wouldn't be depressed?
No, that's the opposite. Depression has existed since...
Forever.
Yeah, forever. Just because it was, people didn't have a name for it, or didn't even know it was a thing back in, like, ancient times, doesn't mean it wasn't a thing. Just because we didn't know what dysphoria was up until recently, doesn't mean it's no less of a thing.
Gender dysphoria has been around since 2013.
That's when we discovered it. But that doesn't mean that didn't exist back then.
Read that. Gender dysphoria first came around in 2013, or first became a thing in 2013.
What is the terminology on that? Let me look. Oh, it was only reclassified in 2013.
From gender dysphoria, identity disorder, gender dysphoria.
When was that? When was gender identity disorder discovered?
Was it gender identity disorder?
Just because something is recently discovered now doesn't mean it hasn't always existed. I don't know why you're even trying to discuss this.
Because it's people. I'm not trying to discuss the history on it. I'm just trying to say that people who say they are something and they're not. That's what I'm just trying to say.
What are those dates?
I'm trying to say.
1950s, 1952,
You gotta
1957.
read the context.
I am. I'm reading faster than you are.
1952.
That's pretty long ago. I don't even know if we knew what depression was back then.
You definitely did,
Okay.
but sure.
Not as well as we do now. We don't even know that much.
Yeah, I know. But we still knew what it was.
What's your point?
What do you mean? What's my point?
What was that about?
What was what about?
Why were you trying to fight me on that?
Fight you on what?
The date of when it was discovered.
I wasn't. I literally just said I'm not trying to fight you on when it happened or when it was discovered.
Then why did you look it up?
Because you told me to.
Why?
I don't know. Ask yourself.
So, this thing called dysphoria has been around since a while.
Sure.
Depression has been around for a while.
Sure.
People with depression are still oppressed.
Sure.
People with dysphoria are still the gender that their brain knows they are, not what their outside
No.
say.
That's not at all correct.
Why?
Because they think that they are this, but they are in reality not that.
Because of their chromosomes, which is
Yes.
the obstacle?
Yes. And the fact that you can't fully switch from a male body to a female body. Or female body to a male body.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So why are you still denying these people who just have not been given the right scientific advancements yet respect as human people?
I say I wasn't.
Well, you're not saying that they're valid, which is pretty disrespectful.
I said that they're not what they say they are. That's literally all I've said.
Yeah, you said you don't agree with them. That's pretty disrespectful.
So if you said that Cece was red and I disagree with you, is that disrespectful?
Well, Cece doesn't have something called red dysphoria, which makes her red.
She could be an albino.
Well, maybe, yeah. But right after,
So,
if she's albino, then and she was originally supposed to be red, and she would like to be called red, then I will call her red.
An albino human who was originally black is now quote unquote white, and I call them white. That's disrespectful.
Well, it goes on a case-to-case basis. Some albino people just want different things. You have to ask them. If they want to be called white, then I will call them white. If they want to be called black, I will call them black, because I respect them and what they want to be called.
Okay, well, I don't respect. It's not that I don't respect people. It's just I don't agree with them enough. I call people what they are. I'm straightforward. If you're a girl, I'm gonna call you he, she, her.
So you're not respecting their dysphoria?
No, I'm saying you are this, so I'm gonna call you this.
That sounds pretty disrespectful.
It's the truth. If the truth is disrespectful, then that's not my problem. The truth has always been respectable, and now it's all of a sudden not respectful.
Well, yeah, because you're hurting people.
And whose choice is that?
Yours. You're saying the words.
No, whose choice is it to take it in a disrespectful way? Theirs, right?
They're
Exactly.
choosing to be hurt.
They're choosing to take it in the right way. I used to be bullied. Now, if people like say, go fuck yourself, you're ugly, I'm like, okay, I don't care. I used to take it really serious. And now I just blow them off. Like,
Well, yeah. But what if you told someone who was violently suicidal to go kill themselves and they did?
Nobody would say that except for terrible people.
Yeah, but what if they did? That's pretty disrespectful, don't you think?
Well, if I don't respect them, I would not.
Not respecting someone just because they have a mental disability, that seems pretty ableist of you.
I meant, if I was a person who was suicidal and somebody that I didn't respect told me to kill myself, I wouldn't.
How do you know?
Because I've been suicidal before.
Are you sure?
Yes. Carved an X in my forehead.
So you're speaking for every single suicidal person on this planet.
When I say that, I'm speaking for myself.
We're not talking about you, we're talking about people who are transgender.
You just changed the subject from suicide to transgender.
No, you did.
No, I literally was talking about myself being suicidal and you just put it to gender.
Yeah. Okay, so.
You just
You know how it feels to be suicidal, right?
Yes.
Why would you want to inflict that on anyone else? Just because not everyone is...
I wouldn't want somebody to kill themselves.
So why don't you respect their pronouns? Or what they want to be called?
Because it's not what they are.
So, you're willing, because not everyone has the mental fortitude of such a noble person like you to be able to brush off go kill yourself comments as easily.
And is that my fault?
Yes.
No.
Because you
It's
can
not
never
my
know.
fault.
You can never know.
The way that they take it is not my fault.
It's not their fault either.
It's their choice.
You can't choose to take something the way you don't.
Yes, you can. I have in the past.
But people don't
have.
know how.
I used to not know how, and now I do.
Yeah, some people don't know how. So when
I
they
still
hear,
knew how at the time, I just didn't decide to.
that's not
And
you
whose fault
though.
And whose fault was that? It was my fault.
So you're blaming the victim here.
Yes, because it's their choice to basically decide, I'm going to take this in this way.
So it's their
Trust me,
fault that
I've
they're
been
bullied.
there. I've been there.
So it's their fault that they're bullied.
No. Wait, you're crossing your points here.
So you're saying that if someone is bullied and they are upset that they are bullied, which is a completely reasonable thing, that's their fault.
Yes and no. Basically what I said earlier, it's their fault for taking it in a certain way, but it's also the bully's fault for doing that to them.
There we go. It's the bully's fault.
It's both of their faults.
The victim cannot choose what comes out of the bully's mouth.
But it's their choice on how they interpret it.
What if they don't have a choice? What if they don't know how to interpret it any other way?
And that's just unfortunate.
That's unfortunate. So it's just unfortunate that people should kill themselves. So
I say it's unfortunate that people do kill themselves, not that they should.
So you're saying that when someone is bullied to the point of suicide, that it's kind of their fault.
Kinda, yeah. Not all their faults, but kind of their fault.
So, if someone were to get shot or to get raped, and they just happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, they were doing something they shouldn't be, but someone else completely on their own pulled the trigger, it is the victim's fault.
You literally just said they shouldn't have been doing that thing, something that they should not have been doing. Yes, that is their fault.
So,
they're doing something that they shouldn't have been doing, and they paid the price.
Let me rephrase that.
That's their fault.
If you were a student at an average American high school, and someone came in and started shooting up the place, and you got shot and died, is that your fault?
No, that's literally not exactly anything at all what we're talking about here.
So,
We're not talking about school shooters.
if a bully came up to you, a transgender person, and started railing you with insults and physical abuse, and all the things that bullying entails, that's your fault.
But is that person depressed? Do they take it to the point where they want to kill themselves?
Sometimes.
All the time?
Sometimes.
No.
Sometimes.
I said not all the time. Sometimes.
So.
Very rarely. What did I say? 4%?
I don't remember.
4%.
But. So. A large amount of preventable suicides that could just not happen because if people were nice to other people and respected them, then the bullying would never occur. And therefore, none of those suicides would occur.
Would have caused this not to occur? Them lying to themselves and telling themselves that there's something that they're not.
They're not lying to themselves. They have dysphoria. I told you this.
Yeah, I know, but I'm not talking about people with dysphoria. I'm talking about people in the transgender world and the non-whatever.
I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about people with dysphoria.
I was.
You were what? Transgender?
I was talking about people who say and claim to be something that they're not. Not just people with dysphoria. Just people who claim to be something that they're not.
I'm just talking about people with dysphoria. Those other people are a whole other ball of wax.
Okay, so what is different about them besides the fact that they don't have dysphoria?
They don't have dysphoria.
So they're basically, you're saying that they're lying to themselves and there's something that they're not?
I'm not sure yet. We'll get back to that later. All I'm saying is that the people with dysphoria that are bullied for having dysphoria, which is a completely preventable thing, you just don't bully. It's their fault, at least in some way. It's completely preventable.
Essentially. A little, it's, like I said, it's kind of their fault, but mostly the bully's fault. As I said earlier.
Mostly the bully's fault?
Mostly the bully's fault.
So you're saying that this could be suicides and deaths could be prevented if people weren't jerks.
Yeah, everybody could say that. Yeah.
Yeah. Harrison, are you aware that you're being kind of a jerk right now?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, you're being a jerk.
I'm being a jerk.
And just because you're right.
The truth.
And just because you're telling the truth and you think you're right.
Okay, I think I'm right. There's facts, there's numbers, there's
The fact that you
statistics.
think you're right, that grants you the right to disrespect someone, therefore bullying
The fact that
them.
I think that I'm right saying that I'm a male, even though I'm not, gives me the right to say that I'm a male and be mean to people who and disagree with people who actually know what they're talking about. That's exactly what you just said.
I'm saying.
No, that's literally what you just said.
I'm saying that you, for whatever you believe or think or know that you're right, and so, because you think that you are right, you think that gives you the ability or the right or whatever to disrespect someone and what they believe themselves to be.
I mean, I wouldn't, but technically, according to the law, yeah. It's called freedom of
You
speech,
wouldn't?
freedom of opinion, yeah.
Well, you've just been saying this whole time that you don't agree with transgender people.
Yeah, I don't. And is that wrong? Is it wrong to have an opinion?
Well, just because you're not... All I'm saying...
Yeah, there you go.
Hmm?
I said there you go.
There I go.
No answer.
No, I'm not done yet.
Alright, keep going.
So you have these you have the truth, you said.
Mm-hmm. Facts, science, basic biology that can't be changed.
And if you were to encounter a transgender person, and if they were born a male and changed to female, and you said you didn't agree with that, that would put you in the position of disrespecting them, therefore bullying them. And as you said,
No.
As you said, it is mostly the bully's fault, which would therefore be your fault.
Okay, what you just said is that you just classified a bully as somebody who doesn't agree with somebody.
You're attacking their mental disability, which is something they cannot change.
I quote you. You said that if you go up to a transgender person and you say, I don't agree with you, that is considered bullying and hate speech and hate crime.
I never said hate speech, hate crime. I'm just saying.
I'm putting your words into different words.
You're taking the words out of my mouth?
Basically.
All right. So, I'm saying that if you are invalidating someone's gender identity, that is part of a mental disability that they cannot change, just like their biology, that is bullying.
Just because you say that you disagree with them, you're saying that that's bullying?
You're invalidating their own very essential identity.
So...
You're saying that they shouldn't be what they are, what they worked so hard to be.
You mean what they think they are?
Doesn't matter what they think they are or what they are.
That's literally that's your definition of dysphoria.
I'm not talking about that right now. I'm talking.
So that's what you've been talking about this whole time. That's
I'm
what you
saying.
keep going back to.
I'm saying
You're saying.
that. I lost my train of thought. Hold on.
There you go. Finally, come to realization.
No, I'm saying that
You
what.
don't have any facts. You don't have anything to prove.
Neither
That's why
do you.
Can't think it. Yeah, I do. There's numbers, statistics, facts, biology, science.
But you're still invalidating someone's identity that they cannot change. Whether or not you're right, or whether or not they are the other gender, or they believe them, they think they're the other gender. You're still invalidating that person's...
I mean,
they still have that mental disability, and you're still invalidating them, which is bullying.
I wouldn't go out to somebody and just like be mean to them. Just
But people
'cause-
are. People are mean, Harrison.
I understand people are mean. I get that. People are mean, and there's nothing we can ever do about that. It's just always going to be how people are. But most people are not just going to go out there and just call people out.
You'd be surprised.
What do you mean?
I'm not talking about just in public. I'm saying on the internet, on meme accounts, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Meme accounts. Do you know that literally almost everything they say there is a joke? That's
What
why
about the
they're-
politics pages?
Politics pages. What about them?
Is what they're saying a joke?
Is what they're saying is true?
Is what they're saying a joke?
No, because they're not trying to be comedians.
So are they did they truly mean their opinions that transgender people are not real?
I don't know what you just said. Say it.
Whatever. I think I'm done here.
Yeah,
not leaving because I think myself to be wrong. I'm leaving because there's popcorn on my hands and I need to take a shower.
Alright.
How fun being the bully.